One day after finishing school, I was called to a little church down in Montgomery, Alabama. One day after finishing school, I was called to a little church. I started preaching down in Montgomery, Alabama. One day after finishing school, I was called to a little church. I started preaching down in Montgomery, Alabama. One day after finishing there, things were going well in that church. It was a marvelous experience. But one day, a year later, a lady by the name of Rosa Parks decided that she wasn't going to take it any longer. She stayed on a bus seat. You may not remember it because it's way back now, several years, but it was the beginning of a movement where 50,000 black men and women refused absolutely to ride the city buses, and we walked together for 381 days.
Yes, sir.
That's what we got to learn in the North. Negroes have to learn to stick together. We stuck together. We sent out the call. No Negro rode the buses. It was one of the most amazing things I've ever seen in my life. And the people of Montgomery asked me to serve as the spokesman. And as the president of the new organization, the Montgomery Improvement Association, that came into being to lead the boycott, I couldn't say no. And then we started our struggle together. Things were going well for the first few days, but then about 10 or 15 days later, after the white people in Montgomery knew that we meant business, they started doing some nasty things. They started making nasty telephone calls, and came to the point that some days more than 40 telephone calls would come in, threatening my life, the life of my family, the life of my children. I took it for a while in a strong manner, but I never will forget one night very late. It was around midnight, and you can have some strange experiences at midnight. I had been out meeting with the steering committee all that night, and I came home. My wife was in the bed, and I immediately crawled into bed to get some rest, to get up early the next morning to try to keep things going. And immediately the telephone started ringing, and I picked it up. On the other end was an ugly voice. That voice said to me in substance, "Nigger, we are tired of you and your mess now. And if you aren't out of this town in 3 days, we're going to blow your brains out and blow up your house." I had heard these things before, but for some reason that night it got to me. I turned over and I tried to go to sleep, but I couldn't sleep. I was frustrated, bewildered. And then I got up and went back to the kitchen, and I started warming some coffee, thinking that coffee would give me a little relief. And then I started thinking about many things. I pulled back on the theology and philosophy that I had just studied in the universities, trying to give philosophical and theological reasons for the existence and the reality of sin and evil, but the answer didn't quite come there. I sat there and thought about a beautiful little daughter who had just been born about a month earlier. We have 4 children now, but we only had 1 then. She was the darling of my life. I'd come in night after night and see that little gentle smile. And I sat at that table thinking about that little girl and thinking about the fact that she could be taken away from any minute. And I started thinking about a dedicated, devoted, and loyal wife who was over there asleep. And she could be taken from me, I could be taken from her. And I got to the point that I couldn't take it any longer. I was weak. And something said to me, you can't call on Daddy now. He's up in Atlanta 175 miles away. You can't even call on Mama now. You got to call on that something and that person that your daddy used to tell you about. That power that can make a way out of no way. I discovered then that religion had to become real to me, and I had to know God for myself. And I bowed down over that cup of coffee. I never will forget it. Oh, yes, I prayed a prayer, and I prayed out loud that night. I said, Lord, I'm down here trying to do what's right. I think I'm right. I think the cause that we represent is right. But Lord, I must confess that I'm weak now, I'm faltering, I'm losing my courage. It seemed at that moment that I could hear an inner voice saying to me, Martin Luther, stand up for righteousness. Stand up for justice. Stand up for truth. And lo, I will be with you even until the end of the world. I tell you, I've seen the lightning flash. I've heard the thunder roll. I've felt sin breakers dashing, trying to conquer my soul. But I heard the voice of Jesus saying still to fight on. He promised never to leave me, never to leave me alone. No, never alone. No, never alone. He promised never to leave me, never to leave me alone. Sometimes I feel discouraged. And I don't mind telling you this morning that sometimes I feel discouraged. I felt discouraged in Chicago. As I moved through Mississippi and Georgia and Alabama, I feel discouraged.
Yo, what's up, everybody? How y'all doing out there? It's the Wtfu show. You know what I'm saying? I'm here with my dude, Tom Horazio. You know what I'm saying?
Extra accent.
You know what I'm saying? We got Chantel, London on the track, you know what I'm saying, overseas. And it's, you know, Jadon. Oh, yes, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, man. I don't usually do the intros, you know, the man, the James Brown, the podcast, and he usually does that. And it's me, Jadon Gizo, voice of the people, you know what I'm saying? Have to emphasize the people, you know what I'm saying? P-O, Well, yeah, you know what? How's it going this weekend? What y'all got into? I mean, you know what I'm saying?
There is a bomb in Gilead.
Me? Oh, well, you know what? I was... no, because I thought you were going to go to Tom first. What have I been doing the last couple of days? Like, I feel like I've been busy, but busy doing what? I don't know. But yeah, I've been doing a lot of adverts, recording a lot of adverts, a lot of voiceovers, just doing more work on that front, really, just kind of meeting some new DJs and promoters and just kind of getting my work out there a bit more, updating my website, that kind of thing. So yeah, and just planning for August as well. Planning for, it's going to be a very eventful month. I can definitely see that this month, my overseas trip, etc. So it should be good.
Yeah, we're looking forward to showing you around, boring Connecticut. And maybe we can get into a little trouble out here, make it fun.
I'm working on an itinerary. We're gonna hit up the Tri-State. You know what I'm saying?
I know. I've summoned Jizo to do my itinerary for the States, because I was saying I'm coming to the States for 2 weeks and I don't even know what I'm gonna be doing. So I was like, Jizo, can you help me out? So you're gonna help me out, aren't you?
It's so much to do. It's like, in New York at least. It's stuff to do in Connecticut, but Jersey, it just has to that's why I was trying to figure out things that you might like. But besides just handling business with the show, just entertainment and museums, and I don't know if y'all be down to go to the museums like the MoMA, Museum of Natural History, 9/11 Memorial, and so many restaurants and nightlife in the city. This will be my first time having time in the city. This guy, I can't get this guy at the house, man. This guy's a family man to the fullest. Let's clap that up. I'm a family man too.
Real quick, yeah, sure you are.
Oh,
nah, he is. Real quick, salute to Couch Talk TV, Mills Lane. Let's see, I'm going down the line here. I'm going down to Blue Label. Thanks for joining us. Let's see here, and Jess Var. Thanks for being with us.
Yeah.
As far as my weekend is concerned, you guys may or may not know. When was that? Well, that was what?
Friday night.
Was that Friday night?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I had to go to work that night too. Shit.
Yeah.
Wish I could have hung around a little longer. But I did a show with Young Haas from Couch Talk TV and Gene Richmond, as you guys may know, number 9. Had a real good conversation. I think the part 2 to that conversation is still being edited. So I think, I hope that you guys will check that out. That's on Couch Talk TV. Yeah, the first part's up there already. But yeah, had a good time. It was a little nerve wracking, being on camera. Having that third eye in your face and you're thinking about it it's really a different feel. I think you could get I think over time I could get used to it. Oh, you did see it, Jess Var. Good. But yeah, so yeah, I had a good time and hope maybe we'll do it again. We'll see. We'll see what.
Nozzle, he want us to come and Chantel come over there so he could be jumping up and down.
Hype us up.
Hype, man. Shout out to Nozzle. Event Moon.
Word. Oh, yeah, I gotta flash that up here. So hold on. So okay. Thanks. I see Chantel's repping for me in the chat room. Yeah, I think I did. I give myself like a C. You know what I'm saying? As far as my performance.
Stop being modest.
But that's the thing when you're having those conversations with those Yeah, I could have went in too, as a matter of fact, Jess. But I kind of approach it with a less is more, and type of thing. And I don't want to talk about it too much, because I believe in. I'm not the type of talk about someone, like that I know, you know what I mean? Like if he's not on, so maybe when the future comes on, as the future, whatever in the future rather. I could have him call in and we could talk about those finer points in more detail. The way the show was structured didn't really allow for us to go back and forth like that.
Yeah, it's like hurry up and buy.
Yeah, and plus, the schedule got all crazy, and I'm looking at the clock like, I gotta be at work. You know what I'm saying? Freaking, but I had fun doing it. I definitely had fun doing it. Would like to do it again. But yeah, when Chantel comes down, we're going to go down there to their little studio and do the damn thing as well. We're going to be doing a bunch of things when you come down, Chantel. But you know what? We actually have some time constraints today, so Jizo needs to be out the door by, 7?
Yeah, like a little before 7-ish. All
right, so you know what? Yeah. You got the floor.
Yes, floor general. Yo, so, I'm sorry. What I was going to really talk about, my phone is bugging. It's like some force field over the iPhones on this side of town right now. So I'm just going off the top stuff that I'm, kind of, aggy about. I know y'all heard about that young lady that got stabbed, Neil Wilson, and I think it was in Oakland. I don't know if it was the same. I doubt it was the same station that no, it wasn't a Fruitvale station that that movie was made of, where that cop had killed that black dude that my dude Michael B. Jordan played. but I'm pretty sure it was not too far from there because I know it was in Cali, and I'm pretty sure it was in Oakland. Somebody could correct me in the chat if I'm wrong, but basically, it's a white young dude. He's like 27 years old. They said he did it like viciously too, like stabbed the lady in the neck, and then the sister was also stabbed or sliced, and she didn't even know she was cut because she was tending to her sister. And I'm reading the article like earlier today, and it's like she's looking at the dude, and he's just wiping his knife off calmly like it was nothing. And this dude had he had a felony, so he was a parole felon. The police are not saying, they're not sure if it was racially motivated, but I mean, for him to do that, I don't know. I don't know if they knew each other. Nobody knows yet, so it's all speculation. But, come on, man. I'm like, sometimes I'm like, yo, if he was black, and I don't want to turn it to a race thing, but, yo, it's like cops would be probably gun the black man down if he did that to a Caucasian lady. I'm saying, I don't know. Maybe there was no cops around, and by the time they got to him. But it just seems like everybody that's white, even these shooters in these schools, they always get found and nothing happens to them. Like, we could fucking be walking down the street or running away with our hands up and we still get shot in the back, and you know what it is. It's just fucked up. But I don't know, man. That shit had me aggy. I know we talked about this last week with the Stand Your Ground, second Stand Your Ground killing, where I found out it was a white man, a cowardly white man that shot the black dude for protecting his family. I mean, he did push the guy on the ground, but then he backed up and he wasn't on the attack, and the guy pulled out. It's like he counted to 10, and I'm not saying he literally counted to 10, but he had 10 seconds, then he just pulled out and shot. I mean, like, I don't know, man. I heard that he was, very aggressive over parking spaces before, so, and, so stuff like that is just getting me aggy. I'm not, I think, this whole, trying to go back. Y'all need to watch the 13th Amendment, not you, Tom and Chantel. I don't know if y'all. I know Tom was.
I might need to watch it again, though.
Yeah.
It's one of those things where you do have to, watch it again to get the full appreciation of it. As a matter of fact, that Trayvon as well, right? That Trayvon documentary that just premiered last night on Paramount. That's a 6-part series that Jay-Z did on the whole Trayvon thing. So try to tune into that because we're going to be talking about that in the weeks that follow.
And I'm glad Jay-Z, Sean Carter is doing that. If I ever met him, I mean, besides being an MC, the dude, he's one of the best that ever did it. And now that he's doing his documentaries on stuff that's going on, that's wrong. That's being done wrong to, he did the Khalif Browder. Now he's doing the Trayvon. I hope he keeps doing it, man, because people need to, I'm pretty sure a lot of people know about Trayvon, but not enough, because it's still like, I don't see how that Stand Your Ground shit is still in effect.
Oh, I know why it's in effect. It's in until black people, right, start using the Stand Your Ground defense successfully against white people, then there'll be a change.
Good point.
Right? In California, right, when you could, and I always love this little fact, right? In California, you could, back in the day, you could bring firearms. There was no law preventing you to bring firearms into the state capitol house, right? Where basically where government business gets conducted, the assembly house, right? Yeah. And so guess who showed up? The Black Panthers, and they had fucking rifles over their shoulders. And that's when they're like, oh no, we need to stop this shit. We're not going to be having these Black Panthers show up, in the State House building with freaking rifles, and that ended that. And that was under Ronald Reagan. So you see how it is. It's once they start to see that happen, they're like, oh, this went too far. Maybe we need to tone it down. Now, I'm not going out there saying, I'm not advocating for black people in Florida to go out there and try to basically start shit with white people, right? Because this is what they're doing, right? With Zimmerman.
Yeah, Zimmerman,
basically, you see a guy, you have that thing on you, right? So you're like, okay, if I get overwhelmed or whatever, freaking, or if he puts his hands on me, and then I'll shoot him. Yeah. And that's why I try to. I try to ask our people, right? All minorities really, but Hispanics, and I want to speak to Hispanics and black people specifically, is we gotta contain ourselves. You know what I'm saying? Because we become very predictable sometimes, right? I know that if I walk down to New Haven and I walk up to, for the most part, if I walk up to a black or Latino, youth, who lives in an urban environment, and I say something slick, he's gonna want to step to me.
Yeah.
Almost 9 times out of 10, he's gonna, you know what I'm saying, he's gonna want to put hands on me, and probably will if I push it, verbally to that limit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's a predictability. These guys know how people are going to react. That's why they got that burner on them.
Yeah,
they know,
exactly.
these guys are gonna, and sometimes we need to F them up mentally and be like, you know what, sir? Have a nice day. You know what I'm saying? That'll fuck them in their mind. Oh, damn, that's not what I expected. I expected this guy to put his hands on me so then I could use my firearm.
Yeah.
Or the guy could have called the police himself. In the case, I'm not, I don't want to speak ill of the dead, but he could have called. He was like, he could have called 911. 911 is for us as well.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I know we don't like to call the cops. You know what I'm saying? Like that skit that Dave Chappelle had years ago. Yeah, we don't call the cops. They because you got to see it. He's like they'll fucking knock you out and sprinkle cocaine over you and shit.
Oh, okay. I think you're talking about that shit where he was in court. No, that was something. No, that's something else. But yeah, I love Dave Chappelle's show. But yeah, I see what you're saying. I mean, I don't know, Chantel, does that go on in London where the cops are getting called by white people all the time? On blacks, on African Americans, or what they call in London the. What I'm saying?
There's definitely racial profiling. There's definitely disproportionately, blacks getting stopped and searched and that kind of thing. And, black guys here don't like the police exactly the same way because of the way, young black guys get treated and, just get profiled because of the way they dress, because of the hoodies, because of the way they talk, etc. And I think, like, you're right, Tom, sometimes you got to kind of just go in differently, don't go in on a defense, but do something that's going to kind of stop them in their tracks and, what they're going to at least expect from your reaction, know.
I once had
and they are there to serve us.
What's that?
The police are supposed to serve and protect at the end of the day, and they're supposed to do their job properly, but I guess, we live in a society where that's just not really the case, is it? But, like, when we get into trouble, we should be able to call on the police and they should be able to support us like they would support, anyone. So we shouldn't just look at the police and feel some kind of way. But I know guys who, like, just based on the treatment that they've had with police over the years because of their skin color, like, they don't have any love for the police whatsoever. When you hear their stories, like, you can understand why they got just pure hate because they've just been victimized their entire life, and it's sad.
Yeah. That's what I was saying. Growing up in the BX, it's like cops never ever came to my. I mean, it's like, I'm gonna give this to cops. Like, they're not gonna pop out of thin air when you're in trouble, but we don't call them because being a young being a youth in the hood. I mean, most of the time who you might get into a jam, but you're not thinking of calling the cops if you about to get jumped or you about to fight or someone pulls out a gun. You thinking either run or fight. Like a flight or fight thing. So it's like. This thing that's going on now, like, Mills Lane, he said, I think Dan, the chat went up. I think Mills Lane said that, the 13th Amendment is sad. It is sad because it looks like we're going in reverse. Like, that's why I don't understand with the black Republican thing. Like, they're acting like, this guy is not a fucking racist. Like, yo, you should, if you see that 13th, I watched it with my kids. If you see that, you will understand, like, yo, okay, Trump might be good for business, which he's not a good businessman because Trump University, he robbed people. He robbed people discriminate against people with his housing. I'm finding out that he rents out his names to a lot of people. You thinking that Trump Towers is owned by Trump. No, he rent. So it's a lot of stuff that I'm finding out about this guy that now his pit bull Cohen, he's like enemies with Cohen because Cohen is getting investigated and he's getting mad at him for stuff that he didn't get rid of, like tapes and all these tapes. And so it's like, that it is sad because you see stuff that was going on back in the 50s, 40s, and when at Trump rallies, they doing the same thing. Oh, get him out of here. Back in the days, this is just what Trump said. You could look at it. Back in the days, we'd have took it. If this was the good old days, he'd have went out on the stretcher. Like, what are you talking about the good old days? You talking about when a white man could do anything and kill a whole black family and not get questioned, or what they did to Emmett Till, or when we couldn't even look at a white woman, or like when white men could just rape a black woman and not get anything done to them. Like, come on, man. Like, and
it's that coded language, right?
Yeah.
It's They talk real slick like in that way.
And Chris said, he's not in the old dudes. He's not on the old dude side. But if you want prepared, to, if you want to fight, be prepared to die. And sometimes, yeah, it's as you get older, you might not have to be thinking like that when you're younger, unless you just got that beast mentality, like, yo, I'm trying to kill this dude. I ain't trying. But like when you older and you get into a confrontation, you're not really thinking like, I might die, unless you like in a situation where you might get jumped or, some real racial tension. Like say me and Tom are somewhere and we round up with a bunch of bald head Aryan Nation cats around us and they saying nigger spick. Yeah, that's a different situation. But if you get in an altercation in your neighborhood or something, you're not thinking like, yo, I might die because, but he did push him hard. So, I mean,
he could have hurt him.
He could have hurt him. Yeah, he did.
You can kill someone with one punch.
Yeah.
I mean, you drop them cold and they hit their heads on the ground. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You can cause internal bleeding. It is a serious thing. And don't get me wrong, as a person who does, believe in self-defense in all forms, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, I don't like to be touched either. You know what I mean? But what I think what we have in Florida is a kind of a system, you know what I mean, where they understand, that they can basically kill people at will. The reality is I believe that this guy would not have been talking to that lady about the parking spot had he not had a handgun on him. Basically, there's a movie, I think it's called Shoot 'Em Up, where the guy asks another guy, he's like, I'm trying to figure out if you're a pussy with a gun in your hand.
Oh,
right?
Shit.
And the guy replies to him, he's like, no. He's like, I'm a fucking badass with a pussy in my hand.
Oh shit.
And I know it's a little bit insensitive, as far as, talking about the female anatomy, but unfortunately, and me as a pistol instructor, and that's why I don't kind of broadcast to the, I don't take all comers, you know what I mean? I like to instruct people that I know are going to behave responsibly, people that I know who can defend themselves without a handgun. You know what I mean? A handgun is only supposed to enhance, like pepper spray, like any sort of device that you have is only supposed to enhance what you already can do with your hands and feet.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But yeah, if you've got no plan, if you've got no and that might be wrong of me to say, you know what I'm saying? There might be for instance, a woman who might be smaller, whatever. There's a lot of different physical limitations that people have.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? But if I have a good idea that you're a straight pussy, I'm probably not going to want to put a gun in your hand. and again, pardon my English, Chantel, because actually, like Betty White said, why call people a pussy? Pussies take a pounding. Can take a pounding. You know what I'm saying? Betty White said that she was like balls can't take a pounding like a pussy can. But anyway,
yeah, but don't hit them though.
That's what I'm saying.
You're like
yeah, exactly. But
even scrape them shit. You like
But geez, I want to kind of go back to something before we lose it here. And I know you're on a limited time frame. The way that Nia Wilson was portrayed in the media.
Oh yeah,
and I'm gonna go ahead. Yeah, I don't want you to forget about that. And I'm showing her picture now. Yeah, I know you felt some type of way about that. So.
Yeah, man. One of them Fox News stations. I can't remember the town, but they had a picture of her looking like it was a gun, but it was actually a cell phone case or a cell phone, and probably like the same case that I got because when I looked at the back, it looked like it had. But anyway, yeah, they made it look like she's holding a gun to her face. And then people went, they protested. They got really, I'm glad they did do that because it's like, and then they apologized. Like, yeah, you're going to apologize now, but nobody did anything about it. A lot of folks would be like, oh, yeah, look, she deserves to die. She's holding a gun. She's the one to be the gangster. Like, and I know there's millions of people like thinking that every youth, black, Latino, just minorities is savages. Oh, you listen to the hip hop and that. Like, yo, stop it, man, because y'all know that the media, like you want to believe Donald Trump when he says fake news, but when it comes to something with us getting killed, y'all believe the fucking media. So like that shit kills me. But you can't believe everything in the media. But Donald Trump, all that fake news shit, he's trying to throw y'all off because he's fake news. He's fake as hell. But y'all voted for him. The majority, not even the majority voted for him. He fucking all this Russian shit. I'm looking at the TV now. Facebook is talking about. They under attack now with they finding like fucking Facebook accounts, you know, with
Right.
that they're trying to get into the midterm elections, like
Right, they're trying to, sow more division. Talking about show up to this rally. You go look at the account. That Facebook's tracking these accounts back. They're basically coming from Russia. They got no followers. They just got started.
Yeah,
So that's the game that they're playing. We got to be cautious on our social media stuff as well. I was about to get into some other shit, but real quick, these are photos I don't think Jizo has seen, but I found some. Actually, shout out to the Young Turks for actually digging this stuff up. But these are some pictures of the killer, that you didn't really see on the media.
So hold on, that I ain't gonna front. That does look like a gun. The last one you showed.
Yeah. Hold up, my bad. Let me back off so Jizo could check this joint out. Boom, boom. All right, give it a second or two for Jizo's laptop to come through. But yeah, no, this was that was a cell phone case. Yeah, it's a pretty stupid. So when it came out years ago, and I thought I'm saying to myself, this is gonna get someone killed. You know what I mean? Because you're sitting there, basically you put it in your pocket or whatever, and it's like you got a damn handgun.
Yeah, I mean, I don't see how it's a cell phone. Let me see. But hey, if the people are protesting that it was a cell phone case, I mean,
well, there's other. And I'm sorry for not having the picture, but there's another picture of her where she's showing it. It's laid down like on her bed, and she's like showing her new cell phone case.
Oh,
you know what
okay.
I'm saying? It's real difficult to see, because of the shadows and all that. But yeah, it is a cell phone case.
But yeah, at first glance, you like, oh, you think she's, because I heard she was a rapper and she was rapping about saving lives.
Okay.
Maybe she was on some Black Panther shit,
So again, going back to the photo, the photos of the killer, we didn't see these on the media, so we got him trying to look basically like a fake Paul Wall.
Yeah, with the little gold teeth and shit.
Right. So we got that one. Let me show it. We already saw that one. Let's take a look at this one. Okay, he's showing the fronts off. You know what I'm saying? Just went to the mall. He's feeling himself there. Let's see here.
Yeah, he look
Take a look at this one. Oh, he throwing it up. Fuck the world, right? But you didn't see, I mean, and to be fair, we did see, the pictures that we do see of him are him in a freaking, I think, a gray jumpsuit.
Yeah, he looked like a fucking trying to be hard for no reason. Like, people that, like, especially men that take selfies and don't take this wrong, like, not all men.
Uh-oh, selfie alert.
Like Locke said, no selfies, man. I don't even like really taking selfies. I mean, I got some in my phone, you know what I'm saying? But I don't, like, let me take, like, if you got Facebook or Instagram and you saw you find a man taking mad selfies, there's some self-esteem issues, or maybe he's...
No, what's funny about, I heard a study about selfies. People who actually take more selfies have high self-esteem. So basically, they're feeling themselves.
Yeah, they
right?
feeling themselves. It's like, but they want to be. Yeah, it's like you want to be. You want the attention. Like, well, I mean, to take selfies and put them online so much of yourself. I can see women doing that. I think it's more of, like, I'm trying to say, more of a woman thing. Like, if you're a dude taking all these selfies, why you? I mean, okay, unless you're a model, like you said, okay, yeah, they probably do. Maybe I did get it wrong. Maybe they do have high self-esteem because they're like, yeah, I look good. Yeah, look at me, bitch, all that. But, yo, after a while, you're like, damn, how many pictures you going to show yourself front and counting money? And, you know what I'm saying? Like, you must want the attention. Why you want so much attention? What so you think if a broad see you in 50 pictures, she going to talk to you more than she see you in 2 or 3? Like, what do you think about that, Chantel? What do you think about dudes that take a lot of selfies?
I'm not feeling guys that take a lot of selfies, to be honest. Yeah, it's a little bit narcissistic to me. It's a little bit vain. And yeah, 'cause I'm not really into the selfie thing either. So a guy that's just too into his looks like that, it's just a bit of a turn off for me. Like, I'd rather see pictures of stuff as well. Like, you know what I mean? Like, someone goes on like vacation, I want to see the place that you're at. I don't just want to see like your face and nothing else. So yeah, I'm not really into
thank you.
Like that
That's
either.
what I'm saying. Like show yourself doing stuff, or like accomplishing something, or with maybe hanging out with the crew. The crew pick. You know what I'm saying? Night out on the town. You in Vegas, or don't be taking no pictures in the hood, like 50 pictures. Like, yeah, we getting money. Look at my suit. Look at my new Jordans. You know what I'm saying? I got these new.
Man, fuck your Jordans. That's what
I
was
saying. You know what I'm saying?
You know what I'm saying? Them shits ain't got nothing on my joints.
You know what I'm saying?
You know what I'm saying? Some shoes. Yeah, buy some damn shoes. You know what I mean? Put on some slacks every once in a while. Fuck this. You know?
I was looking at the comments. That was about the pictures. He said they damn sure ain't show this.
Yeah, no, that's that's for this dude, this freaking bitch ass killer. He's gonna have a good time in jail. I don't know why he let himself get caught, because he know he's gonna be
the Aryan Nation motherfuckers.
He better get signed up real quick.
Yeah, real quick.
Day one, he better be like, yo, where do I sign up at? I need protection.
Just like that Dylan Roof coward motherfucker. He probably in there. They probably worshiping him.
Mm-hmm.
Like, don't worry, you'll be here for your life, but you're gonna go down in history for that cowardly shit you did in the church. For y'all that don't remember, Dylan Roof killing 9 people in the church after sitting there for how many hours praying with them. Fucking cowards, man. See, this is some coward shit, man. Yo, black people don't do. I mean, we do shit, but we don't fucking just go and kill innocent people for no freaking reason because we hate them. You know, it's an inner hate. Like when I was talking about that gang shit. Gang shit is years of retaliation and and I'm not condoning it, but it's all this shit. This is some deep shit. Why do you want to shoot up the school full of kids? Cause you mad cause you don't fit in? I remember Kevin Hart was talking about. I mean, it was a Kevin Hart, Chris Rock. Like I didn't even have enough friends for he said what, half court basketball. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, some people looked at me as different, I was from the west side of town. They had the east siders. They thought I was different.
Who, you? Or you
know,
about,
yeah, like like in the Bronx, like like my man, shout out to my homie June. He was like, them east side cats, they was evil, man. There's a lot of cats that died when they was young and locked up for 20. I came over there. I was like a half nerd, half street dude. And then, you know what I'm saying, I'm trying to fit in. They like, your dude is kind of, he kind of slow or something. What's wrong with it? You know what I'm saying? I was like, I was in all the way hood like them niggas was doing crazy shit, shooting off roofs and shit. You know what I'm saying? You just like that lifestyle, like, I was like, I was different, you know what I'm saying? Like, but anyway.
Salute to Jean-Paul Shelton, Mac J. Adams. Thanks for joining us. So Chantel, you wanted to talk because Jizo's hitting your time limit, right?
Yeah.
Jizo, you about to head what? You about to head to the city, right?
Motherfucking K.
JFK, damn.
Yo, if y'all need a ride down there, holla at me. I'm hitting the 9-5 or the Merit in like 10 minutes. 10 minutes.
Yeah, if you got $200 to spare and you want to ride.
Yeah. You know what I'm saying? We out. But thanks y'all, everybody. I'm gonna just bounce before this flight coming early, and I missed that money.
Don't blow this job, man.
All right, Chantal, I'll holla at you.
See you, Jesus. Have a good one.
All right, you too.
Get to stepping. So yeah, Chantel, tomorrow is a special day, right? Would you call it a special day in the UK?
No.
Right.
It's a somewhat special day within the Black conscious community, but it's not really.
And that's probably a small community, right?
Right, exactly. So it's the 1st of August tomorrow. Also known as Messiah Month for those who are kind of into Marcus Garvey and Emancipation Day, etc., etc. So every 1st of August they hold a reparations march in London. This year's going to be the 5th anniversary, and so I wanted to touch on it. It's a shame Jesus had to head off because I know a few weeks ago he wanted to touch on like reparations, so I said leave it until now because we held this march in London every year. And so I just wanted to touch on reparations just briefly and just give my view on reparations from my perspective, because I know there's always a big debate about reparations in America, in the UK, across the diaspora, for all the people that were affected by slavery. And it's like, what should we get, off the back of what our ancestors went through and all the suffering and et cetera, et cetera. And I just feel like there's many layers to it. And I'm more about the internal repair rather than externally, like trying to ask for something back or trying to beg for like an apology and that kind of thing. So with the organization that do the African Emancipation Day reparation march here in the UK, they have...
Chantel, could you stand by because Jizo's about to leave and he's about to take his Wi-Fi with him. So I'm gonna be switching over to the house system here in a second. Let's just handle this real quick. You know what? You still there?
Oh,
okay. All right. I think we're good. Yeah, because I just shut it off just now. All right. Cool. Jizo, next time you gotta leave your cell phone, man. All right. Peace. So go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's cool. So yeah, so basically the organization that runs the Reparations March here in the UK, they have their own aims and objectives. So
Oh no. Damn. I think I did her dirty by just hitting the wrong damn button. Chantel, stop. Yeah.
am I back?
Yes, sorry about that. That's operator error, right? Engineer error right there. Sorry.
It's cool. So yeah, I was just going to run through the aims and objectives real quick of our reparations march that we have in the UK, and then just give my view on reparations and what we should be doing as a people. So their aims and objectives are to draw attention to the African people's global determination, and to let the British state know and the other perpetrators not get away with the crimes of the Mangamese, which is basically the African Holocaust. So rather than just calling it reparations, they use the term Mangamese because it just talks about oppression in general, and oppression that still goes on in Africa, in the motherland, etc., etc. To raise consciousness about the attacks that are on us, both as individuals and as a collective. To increase awareness of the necessity to stop the Mangamese, to demonstrate that African people have strength, capacity, and determination, and to speak about our challenges. And the fifth one is to showcase African people's grassroots initiatives and initiatives for reparations. So this march will start at 9 a.m. tomorrow.
Okay.
They will march to the House of Commons. There'll be a minute's silence. There'll be drumming and chants, etc. on the way there. It draws a lot of people from the Rasta community to the march, and you'll get different organizations kind of coming along and, you know, in their own blocks and kind of holding their own placards, etc. It goes on throughout the day. So like in the sort of early evening, they'll have entertainment, etc. And it all takes place in an area called Brixton, which is South London. It's one of the meccas for like the Black community within the UK. So that's where it happens. And I didn't go last year, but I went the year before. The reason that I went is because I was drawn to this sense of just oneness and unity, and being with like-minded people, and kind of being able to charge one another up and draw in that energy. And so that's why I wanted to go. And there's a lot of people that I've spoken to who themselves would almost say that they're part of this conscious community, who are not going to the march because they themselves don't see the point in marching. Their stance is that, why are we going to march? What is that going to achieve? You know, we're not going to get reparations that way. But for me, when I think about reparations, I think about repair and self-healing. So I feel like being a part of that kind of energy is part of that repair process. And it's like, you know, there's always this stigma when it comes to Black people, like, you know, if we have an event, if we have some sort of, you know, massive group of us coming together, there's always going to be trouble, there's always going to be violence. But I feel like this is a key example of like hundreds of thousands of Black people coming together, and it's peaceful. And it's a representation of peace and unity, that we can come together collectively and we can just harmonize, and nothing like aggy has to take place, because it's the type of people that it attracts. And like, for me, reparations, as I say, it's about repair, and it's about internal. It's about like knowing who we are, knowing our power, understanding the manipulation that's happening now, being able to create our own narratives, being able to just, you know, create our own history, to rewrite the wrongs of history, but not necessarily relying on like externally, like what money are we owed. It's so much more than money. There's so many more layers of it. So I just feel like it's an encouraging thing, and I want more people from the Black community to just get involved. So it's not just the people from the conscious community that get involved. One story that I remember from 2 years ago, and this sticks with me, like there must have been a couple of women in the march, and they had weave in their hair. And then I remember seeing these women with weave in their hair, and for me that was like a statement to say, you know what, at least there's other people who have just come along today. Like, they're not all about this natural hair thing, but they've come along because they recognize that it's important and it's for everyone to come to. But at the same time, I overheard like someone else kind of talking sideways because, these women weren't like naturally haired. And I feel like that is part of the problem, but it shows a good thing that people with, weave or whatever are going to come to a march like that. But it also shows like this point that we need to have this internal repair, because whether a woman has her hair natural or not, it's bigger than that. It's about us all coming together and not bickering over these silly things, but what can we do to build economically, socially, and just to strengthen our position in society.
Right. And real quick, John Paul Shelton says he don't believe it. Now, what's funny is when I was actually gonna say I didn't want to break you up. I was like, that's unbelievable. But now, of course, we can all joke about that. But you know what it's those small, and that's what's funny about sometimes the conscious community, right? It's like such a narrowly defined archetype that you have to be in it, and you know what? But not understanding the most important thing that you can have in any movement is power in numbers, right? So if you want to have this selective little group of a few thousand people that's basically going to accomplish nothing in a country of tens of millions and hundreds of millions, then then that's just a club. Just call it a club, because you guys get together, have your little powwows, talk about what you want to do. It's not going to get done because you have such a strict set of rules. You need to worry about the main planks of your position, right? We're for reparations in whatever form that happens to be. We talked about reparations, on Friday with Young Haas and number 9. And of course, again, I get concerned about the monetary part of it. How will that be doled out? And what would happen with that money? But anyways, that's neither here or there. But yeah, to your point, if a girl maybe eventually, right, these ladies will shed the weave. If they continue to, they may see the benefits, right? The cost benefits. I don't know if it's comfortable. I hear the weaves can be weaved in tightly. I'm not 100% sure. It may not be comfortable, itching, this, that, and the third. Maybe they'll just say, you know what? Look at all these women around here with the natural hair, and they're they're beautiful, they're accepted, whatever. Hey, maybe this is for me. So it takes time.
You naturally become more and more inspired, and that's the thing. Like the more kind of conscious you become, the more all aspects of your lifestyle just begin to change organically. Like the way you eat will start to change. Like me, for example, I don't put any labels on myself, but I don't eat a lot of meat. Mm-hmm. But I just naturally don't feel the need to eat a lot of meat anymore. Like I just don't really buy meat. Like if I go out, I may have meat, but I just don't feel for it. I'm more conscious about how I think, how I talk, the people that I have around me in my circle, just so many aspects. The music that I listen to, the shows that I watch, the content that I consume, all different aspects of my lifestyle change the more I become, one with self. What I read, everything. And I feel, and definitely your outward appearance will start to mirror your inward change, and that's how it should be. I think the worst thing is like when you almost have like poppy show. That's like a kind of Jamaican term, poppy show. People that might look like they're all conscious on the outside, but really they have a dirty heart, a dirty mind. We don't want that. We want to have people with pure hearts and pure minds. And if on the outside you can't tell straight away, then like more fool you for judging someone. Do you know what I mean? Don't judge a book by their cover.
Right. Yeah, definitely. You got to know the person and the intent. But I think that's how just us humans are in general. We love to categorize, and it's basically kept us alive, right? It's since the dawn of man. Looking at something and saying that doesn't look good. I'm going to prejudge that, and I'm gonna act based on my internal fear. And it's just but as educated modern people, we need to get over that. Basically, stop acting primitively. Yeah, so I wanted to ask you about the media. How's the media going to cover, how do they cover, basically tomorrow's and this week's, events?
You do actually get quite a few. Well, last year you had some mainstream media covering the event. So Channel 4 is one of the bigger channels over here. They were covering it. There's one of the women that kind of pioneers the reparations. Her name is Esther Stanford, and I've seen her quite a lot within the media doing interviews, and within some newspapers, more the kind of liberal newspapers who are more open to like understanding why this is necessary, and just that kind of consciousness kind of overflowing. So there is a kind of nice coverage that kind of bubbles up, and I think it will only hopefully grow and grow as the plight for this just continues to develop, really. So there is a level of coverage and debates as well. I think we need to have debates. You need to have people who continuously say, reparations is a waste of time, like we don't owe you anything. We need people to say that so that other people could come in and actually give that counter argument and that counter narrative and explain, actually, no, this is why we do need it. And you've got some prominent people within our community as well who are using their voice to express that. So, for example, Akala. So I know a lot of people know of Akala and they're hearing about Akala. He's very sort of prominent within, the Black community. He just actually got a doctorate today as well. And he speaks highly about reparations. And we need high profile people like that who are going to talk about it and make people just understand it. Because when I first saw about reparations, they kept calling it the Mangamizi, and I literally had to go and Google what is the Mangamizi, and I actually thought, you need to make this a little bit more open and general so that people kind of get it, and know what they're marching for, and just, because a lot of people are either going to sit back and be like, as I say, it's a waste of time, or actually not understand the point of it. So I just think it needs to be clear, and people need to actually understand why it's still relevant today, and it's going to keep being relevant until there are real changes that take place.
Right. I don't know, in England, I'm pretty sure it was the same way as here, but slavery accounted for a lot of the wealth that basically kind of founded this country. There has never been really an official, that I'm aware of, an official, basically a sorry, a freaking, or anything, so, and when I talked about with number 9 and Haas, I mentioned it, I kind of briefly forgot what the hell I wanted to say there. I had a brain fart, but like South Africa, truth and reconciliation. Basically, at the end of it, when apartheid ended, they had a period where it was like, okay, we're going to look into what happened, and then we're going to try to reconcile with that. In the United States, we really didn't. The way that slavery ended, it was somewhat abrupt. Here you go, you're free. That's all we're here to do is just free you from slavery. There was no program, unfortunately, to kind of basically find out. Well, we didn't need to find out what the hell happened. We knew what it was. It was basically a profit. There was the profit motive, and unfortunately, it's tough to deal with that when you're dealing with profit, because profit doesn't care about people.
Of course.
It's as a matter of fact, it's profit over people.
And that's the thing. Sorry, go on.
No, it's just, and again, we missed that opportunity right there, and partially is because Lincoln got killed. Lincoln did have plans. To go ahead and try. Well, we all know that he was a racist, and he'd rather have black people in America go back to Africa. He didn't really feel that black people could live in the United States with white people. But anyways, he did have a real program to somewhat. It was a little bit more punitive toward the slavers, and he got killed, so that wasn't realized.
I was just gonna say, that's the thing, we psychological damage, for example, is still it still permeates now. It's like if someone got sexually abused, if a woman got raped, for example, she would need to go through counseling because it's so traumatic. And it's like we don't deal with the fact that so many women were raped and abused, and they never got any counseling, they never got anything, any therapy for their trauma, and it just carries on, and a lot of the issues that we see today within the community can be traced back to all the ills that took place during slavery. And the UK is built on the money off the backs of our ancestors who were slaves in the Caribbean, for example, because Britain was instrumental, was leading slavery in the Caribbean. So this is why we want to go to the UK government and say, where's at least our apology for that? And what I've been told many times, they don't want to apologize, because if you apologize, that's an admission of guilt.
Right.
you're now saying I'm guilty, and if you say you're guilty, now you can be taken to the high courts, and there will really be a case to answer for, really. But one of the things as well, I just think as well that there are people in our community who are in a position of power who could take this on, because there is a case. But I think sometimes, unfortunately, the Black people who are in the positions of power and who could actually effectively make changes, their mindset's not there. So they've got the money, they've got the links to important people, but they're just not consciously minded. It's like they've come out of that Blackness and they're just not about collectively building and growing for generations to come. And I think that's the unfortunate side of things sometimes. It's the people that are championing this, they don't have the power needed for change, and the people that have the power needed for change are not interested.
It's like what was it, Jay-Z and Nas a few years ago. I've played the song before, but it's called Black Republicans. And right, the chorus is, I feel like a Black Republican, all the money I got coming in. Right, the money changes your mindset. Right, when you're down at the bottom, you're like, hell yeah, give me that reparations, give me tax breaks, give me some. But when you're at the top, you're like, shit, I don't really feel like giving up my paper. You know what I'm saying? For people to have these opportunities. So yeah, money does change things, and that's I guess the dichotomy that we're always going to have, is, in Western culture for sure.
Mm-hmm. What do you think about? I mean, obviously, I know you're not African American, but what do you think about reparations? Do you feel like it's a fight that we should be fighting for, Black people?
No, I think that there should be a fight for it. I don't think it necessarily has to, the reward necessarily, or right, for all the suffering, the generational suffering doesn't have to be cash. Because as we're seeing, as John Paul Shelton, right, reparations will make Hennessy and Cadillac #1 on the market. Pay attention. And this is kind of a play. If you guys remember the old Dave Chappelle did a great skit on his show. What would happen in the now? Of course, this was all it was mocking, right? It was making a joke of the whole thing, of what would happen, after reparations, and that's pretty much what happened, right? Cadillac stock soared, watermelon stock. I don't even think there's such a thing as a watermelon stock, right, on the stock market.
Can I just say something on that? Because see, this is one of the things where people say, what's the point in giving Black people this money because we don't know how to spend it, we're going to waste it. But this is the thing when I talk about repair. So if we repaired ourselves internally and we became responsible, we would know how to invest money and we would know how to spend it wisely. It's like if you won the lottery tomorrow, you're more likely to blow that money than if you earn that money over years, because now you understand the value of money and you would know to use it wisely. And for me, it's not about give every person who has ancestry in slavery like a bag of money. It's about using money to build community, institutions, to start businesses, to fund initiatives. There's so much, buildings, for example, that could be brought and funded so that Black people can actually do more. We can do more for ourselves, really. There's that saying where they say, give a man a fish and he can eat for a day. Give a man, a rod and he can feed his family. So it's a bit like that. You know what I mean? It's not like just give individuals handouts. But yeah, people are going to waste it. Like if you've never had that, can you blame someone? Like if you've never had it before, you've had a hard, stressful life, right? You just had bills and worries and concerns. Someone said, here's some money. Yeah, you might want to go out and buy a bottle of Hennessy.
Instant gratification.
Exactly, yeah.
So and I agree with you as far as with the cash. Maybe that could be something that later on what would could happen. But I think in the immediate it would be first tell the truth, about the whole situation. And because a lot of people don't fully understand, the arguments that were happening. Basically, this country would not have been founded if not for the compromises. Like I'm actually kind of slacking off, but I'm reading the book, The Dark Bargain. It's called. It shows how much the founders of this country argued about slavery was the main issue when they were trying to put the Constitution together. It was because obviously in our country, they were figuring, okay, how are we going to do the representation, right? How are we going to figure out for how many people is going to equal, how many, citizens of the country is going to equal one representative in Congress, right? Or in your case, it would be like Parliament. How do we figure that out? Well, of course, the North is like, well, we're going to go by the amount of free people, the people that can actually, vote. And of course, the South was sitting there saying, well, we don't have a bunch of free people. We have a bunch of quote unquote slaves, property. They're not free. They can't vote. So that's where we come up with the 3/5 compromise.
Right.
So the whole Constitution is really, when you read the preamble, you read the Declaration of Independence, it's really a sick fucking joke, to be honest with you. So our country is like a freaking, I don't even know what the word is here, like jumbo shrimp, right? What do we call jumbo shrimp? It's one of those, and I'm losing my words here. But anyways, it doesn't make sense, so that's a problem that we have here in the United States. But definitely, I think education, right? To me, the way I feel about it, there's no black person in this country that should not be able to go to school. And I'm not saying, everybody gets to go to Harvard. We have many great state, level universities. Why can't black people go there for free or reduced? And we're talking about means tested. Now, if you're a black person who's doing well, hey, great, everything's working out. But if you're from, look, you mentioned actually before we came on the whole LeBron James school, right? Yeah. Versus Dr. Umar Johnson, who I don't necessarily follow, but apparently he's been trying to start a school for a long time with no success no success, I would say, right? Is that fair to say?
Yeah. I don't know if a brick's been put on top of another brick yet for his school, in all honesty. So he's trying, though. He's trying. Yeah, people have donated.
Right. It's tough. I mean, to compare the two is a little unfair because LeBron is pretty wealthy, and Dr. Umar Johnson, I just imagine, is not as wealthy as LeBron James.
But that kind of goes back to the point that I'm making as well, in the sense of, like, look how many, like, millionaires and like billionaires there are from the black community. Like, I feel like even if you had 1% of those people giving Umar some money, like, he could have built that school ages ago. So it goes back to that point of a lot of people that have the means to be able to support local initiatives, or black people that have that conscious mindset to make change, they're not getting the funds from within their community. So it's not just about like the color of someone's skin. It is really about their mindset and, what the change that they want to make, not just for themselves individually, but collectively as well.
Right.
And it's difficult. And, sometimes when your money is coming in from, corporations, etc., you don't want to rattle their cage by trying to show that you're too black conscious, I should say, because a lot of people are threatened by that. And they then start to think that, you're going to be isolating yourself from other initiatives, and it doesn't necessarily mean that. It just means that we want to see a rise. Everyone should have access to the same choices and opportunities in life, and that's what it's about. And we need to change our mindset to be able to do that as well.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. So D Hollow says salute to LeBron for building a school in his hometown of Akron. Yeah, I mean, That was a big move, and making schools are not, right? It's not a cheap venture. The way that schools are being built now, high tech. It's not like just building a little house and saying, all right, let's get the best teachers. No, you got to have the technology in there if you want to compete with what we have in this country in the magnet schools, and it's not just private schools.
It's about running the school as well. And I think that's one of the issues that Umar Johnson's been facing, because it's not, you can build the school, but then, you have to have the teachers, you have to pay wages, you've got maintenance, you've got so many different bills that will start to come. And if it's a private school and you don't want any sort of state funding, it's a massive burden,
right?
And it's difficult. So, it's putting everything together for a school is very challenging. You need a really strong, dedicated team around you. And, to take on that initiative is good. That is part of his legacy now. So he's done a really good thing. And I hope other people, other athletes, use that as that sets an example and sets a precedence for other people. I hope anyway.
Absolutely. All right, Chantel. Well, thanks for. Are you going to stick around? Or are you ready to pack it up?
I'll stick around for a little while. I'll be listening.
You sure?
I might jump in as well. Yeah.
Okay, so I want to kind of just finish off. I didn't get to it last week, and I was thinking of, believe it or not, I was thinking of just skipping it this week too. I was just like, you know what, forget it. Maybe it's not meant to be. But I just want to talk about stand by. Let me find my page here. I got a lot of pages loaded up today. Let's see here. Boom. Okay, here we go. Thinking about our president, with this whole collusion thing. I know a lot of people aren't paying attention, and some people don't think it's really a big deal. Okay, he went to Russia. He tried to get dirt, what I'm saying, on Hillary Clinton and whatever. I'm not hung up on Hillary. Hillary wasn't the best choice, and we have to own up to that. But it's this whole thing started to make me think about other presidents who have colluded with foreign governments to basically become the president, or do something political that they wanted that they couldn't do by going to Congress, to achieve. Basically, they had to go they had to use outside methods to accomplish what they wanted to accomplish. So one of the first guys that comes up is Nixon. People may not know this about Nixon. Of course, we're all young for the most part. I'm pretty sure we're all, in the chat room, in the listening community, we're probably under 50. You really need to be about 60 to 70 years old to really even know what happened in that era, to remember it anyways. Let's see here. So I just wanted to talk about Nixon for a little bit here. Let me get all my little freaking my graphics ready to go. So Nixon, for those who don't know, Nixon, let me see if I get something up here. Yeah, let's get something at least up here for you guys. Not yet. All right, Nixon, when he was running against, what's his name here? Johnson, right? So Lyndon B. Johnson, he actually, and this is crazy because this is like treason to the effing maximum. He, behind Johnson's back, Johnson was trying to end the Vietnam War. All right? He was trying to end the Vietnam War. Nixon knew that if Johnson did that, he was done. That he had no chance in hell. The American people were going to love Johnson because he was going to be the guy that essentially end, even though he pretty much blew the war up, he was going to end the war. So Nixon, behind his back, started using this lady, and I forget her name right now, Chenault, I think her name was. She was a Chinese American lady who was married to a famous general, right? So basically, they created a back channel to talk to South Vietnam, basically saying, do not sign this deal. Do not get into a deal with, so this is Nixon as a campaigner, right? He's just, at that point, he's just a senator from California. So he's sitting there telling the Vietnamese through his back channels, do not sign a deal with Johnson. I'll get you a better deal if I win. You should just wait. Just keep on waiting. I'll get you a better deal. Mind you, people are dying by the hundreds every day in Vietnam. Americans, and probably by the thousands, North Vietnamese, South Vietnamese. So he was willing to risk that, and to fully understand why he would do that. Why would you let people die? What is it? What's so important to you? Why is it so important to you to become president that you would do some underhanded shit like that to your own country? And that's the thing. Watergate wasn't shit compared to this. This is the type of shit, in my opinion, you should see the firing squad for. A break-in at Watergate, is nothing. But so why was it so important for him to win? Is because he was the original, I guess you can call him the OG culture warrior. He looked at America. He started, and what was going on at the time. Right? You're talking about Black Panthers. You're talking about hippies, the anti-war movement. You're talking about free love, right? People smoking pot more in the United States openly and freely. Basically, people saying, we want freedom. We're killing people in other countries, and we don't even have all the freedoms that we want. So people started to really turn up and hit the streets and say, this is bullshit. And they're tired of the man, right, oppressing them, and these culture warriors like Nixon. So Nixon saw that, and basically he was like, this country, is going to shit, and I have to do whatever, by any means necessary, I need to become the president. We need to take the government back and take control of this situation. So what happened during the campaign that year? The South Vietnamese pulled out of the negotiations. They basically, out of nowhere. And Johnson knew about it. And I had the audio queued up. It's not really important. Johnson was one of the first presidents. Actually, I think he might have been the first president to record his own conversations in the Oval Office. So all his stuff's on tape. And what I have on MP3 is basically him telling his chief of staff, saying, our friend from California, which is code word for Nixon, is trying to sabotage our peace plan. Right? Mind you, once Nixon won by less than 1% of the popular vote. And the war didn't end after he became president for 4 more years. In that period, 22,000 more Americans died, and countless Laotians and Vietnamese people died during that period. So he's willing to sacrifice, up tens of thousands of Americans so that he could become the president. So, and the problem is that, and we see this a lot from Democrats. Oh, we don't want to tear the country apart, right? Lyndon B. Johnson was sitting there saying, if I bring this to the public, this country will just rip apart right now. As volatile as we are, finding out that I'm spying on a candidate for good reason, because he was using his national security agency to spy on him. That's how he knew. He had their voices on tape saying, yeah, don't sign the deal. So he knew what was up. So they're going to get pissed at that. And then B, people that are against, the war effort and are going to tear the country apart anyway. So he looked at it like, I'm between a rock and a hard place. So he stayed quiet, but he told Nixon's campaign, stop doing what you're doing. I know what you're doing. So don't come with the bullshit. Stop doing what you're doing. And Nixon actually fronted and told the public, I don't know why South Vietnam pulled out of negotiations. You know what? As a matter of fact, as a candidate, I'm willing to go over there and see if I can get them back to the table. It was all bullshit. He knew that he had orchestrated that move right there, and basically kept the war going for another 4 years. So now Nixon, if you don't know, he was a virulent racist, right? And I had it up here a second ago, and I'll go ahead and flash it up here now. Right, so this is from the Chicago Tribune, right? Holderman, the headline is Holderman gives us the real Nixon. H.R. Holderman, a guy who actually spent 18 months in prison after the whole Watergate scandal, it was his chief of staff, right? So let's see, I'm sorry for not highlighting this. I want to get to the relevant information here. Let's see here. The key is to devise a system that recognizes this while not let me back up. Let's see. Holderman says Nixon emphasized that you have to face the fact that the whole problem is really blacks. The key is to devise a system that recognizes this while not appearing to, right? So Nixon was with the bullshit early. All right. Right, so sitting there saying that the problem is right, so we look at Trump. So some of us, us contemporaries, we look at this stuff like with Trump, it's new. This is an old. We are at war, and we were at war in this country as minorities before we were born into it. We were just freaking born into it. All right, and I'm sorry to say, but we can't fall back. The main tool that we have is our vote. I just told you that this guy won by less than 1%. I wonder how many of us minorities stayed at home. Nixon, Johnson, they're all the same. Well, Johnson signed the Civil Rights Act into legislation, right? He signed it into law, right? You got Nixon, and I want to let everyone know that Holderman didn't say this stuff until years later. When me and you and Jizo are all old folks, right, 60 and 70 years old, we're going to be finding stuff out about this Trump administration that's going to be declassified, because a lot of the stuff is classified, and that was the situation with Nixon. There's stuff that we found out, and tapes didn't get fully because there were quote-unquote national secrets at the time. They needed to be protected. Let me look at another. Did you want to jump in with something?
No, I was just going to say, because we always say as well that just the importance of voting, and there's a lot of people as well, they don't actually want to register because they don't want to be on the electoral register, because they don't kind of want authorities to kind of know that they exist, or what address they live at. But, you know, you got to kind of get your life in order so that you can go out there and vote. And one of the other things we've mentioned on the show before as well, like it's about local elections, it's about bylaws, it's about the laws that affect you personally, you know, as well as the country laws. So it's just important to kind of just educate yourself and just exercise your right, because too many people, you know, shedded blood for our right to vote.
Yeah. Here's another. This is my favorite. Actually, it's not only my favorite, but from the same article, it's also the author's favorite. Let's see here. Where we read, Haldeman saying that Nixon broods frequently over the problem of how we communicate with young blacks. It's really not possible, except with Uncle Tom's, and we should work on them. Forget militants, right? So this is Nixon saying, yeah, he's recognizing fully. You know, forget about sitting down with the Black Panthers. You know, forget about speaking with the conscious community, because they're coming in, they're making demands, right? And we don't want to fucking answer to demands. No, but these Uncle Toms that are willing to and I don't know if it's my place. You guys let me know if it's not my place to call people Uncle Toms, but I think we understand the working definition of an Uncle Tom. And but you know, yeah, these Uncle Toms that are willing to shuck and jive, right, for freaking nothing, essentially. You know, we'll give them a job. You know what I mean? Maybe we'll give them a title, and then they can go back to their people and saying, oh, we're making great progress with the president. The president really cares. You know, he's really for black people.
This actually ties in really well with what I was saying about reparations, and that there's some people who have the power but don't actually want to exercise that when it comes to helping community. And these people could easily be described, some of them, as Uncle Toms. Do you know what I mean? Like,
sure,
black on the outside, white on the inside.
Right. So I mean,
they just don't care.
Yeah, the Uncle Tom game is it's older than me. You know, right? We're talking 1970. You know, I'm from the late 70s. The shit's, and obviously it goes way before that. You know, so but I'm trying to, you know, I don't want to go back into ancient history. You know, this is more, you know, modern history here. So yeah, Nixon loved the uncles, and so does Trump. Oh, I'm sure he would never, you know, I'm sure in private he probably says, oh yeah, I love these fucking Uncle Toms. Oh my God, they're doing my work. They do it for free. That's what Trump is probably saying. These guys will do it for free. I'm not even giving them a check, and they're out there freaking, you know, with the bullshit, you know, suppressing their own vote. So
and they knock us back sometimes. The people with that kind of Uncle Tom mentality, they knock us back because, like you say, when racists kind of want to get a point across, just get like an Uncle Tom to kind of say that point. It's like, well, that black person that said it, so it must be valid, you know, validated. It must be correct, and it's just their mindset is not in line with really the truth. You know, they're just too far left, really. Right. You know, they're in that sunken place kind of thing. So
yeah, and you know, yeah, they're definitely in that. So yeah, and that's why you know, hold on, I don't have it up here. Anyways, I'll talk about it later, another day. But you know, Uncle Tom was used during. Actually, my understanding of the phrase Uncle Tom actually comes from, and it may have been used in slavery. D. Holla, I'm not 100% sure, but it was used in a book called Uncle Tom's Cabin, which was I forget who.
I heard about that.
Right, Uncle Tom's Cabin. I believe actually it was an author who lived in Connecticut. She has I've been to her freaking house in college. We had to go to all these different historical spots in Connecticut. Was it Margaret something? Freaking.
Are you talking about? I've just Googled here. It says Uncle Tom's Cabin, novel by Harriet Beecher Stowe.
Yeah, Harriet Beecher Stowe. Actually, a lot of people actually say that she actually created that her writings actually pushed the Civil War to happen. You know, because she made a lot of people would read her books because she was a big time abolitionist. And it it changed the minds of Northerners. You know, a lot of people started like, this isn't right. You know what I mean? This shit's happening in our own country, you know, a few hundred miles away from us, right? You're up here in Connecticut, you're up here in New York, you know, and there really isn't that sort of institutional slavery in these regions at that time when the Civil War broke out, you know, up north anyways. I mean, I'm not saying it didn't happen up here, but at that time, slavery wasn't really a big thing up here. You know, so yeah, you're having these Northerners saying, yo, this is just morally freaking wrong. You know, and we're people of God, right? You know, these are religious people who believe in God, and they're starting to see now that this can't stand. You know, so she actually really, you know, she really changed a lot of hearts and minds, and people say that her writings actually, you know, helped in the process to kind of start that war.
Yeah.
So let's see here. What else do I got loaded? Oh, you know, so who was an advisor? I got a bunch of damn things up here. Be patient with me. You know what? F it.
You're multitasking there, Tom.
Yeah, I know. And I had no other plan either. So let's see here. Flashing right now in the corner, one of Nixon's advisors. You guys may not recognize this guy, but his name is Roger Stone. All right. So he's been in the game for a minute. Let's see here. Now I definitely got it. Let's see here. All right, here's Roger Stone hanging out with Donald Trump. You know, these are old school players, right? And they're still involved in the game, right? That's what I love about these politicians. I mean, they'll be playing the game in their 70s and 80s, right? I don't know how it is in the real pimping game or the drug dealing game or any hustle that's out there, right? Any illicit hustle that's out there. When does a pimp retire, right? But in politics, you don't have to. You could play the shit when you're a young man, freaking, or you could play it when you're in your 30s and 40s and even into your 70s and 80s, because these guys are so dedicated to what they believe in, which is basically keeping power for people like themselves that look like themselves. That's why I always say to people, and I think I said it in actually you guys may have not have seen that part, but I always say that Barack Obama getting elected was like 9/11 to people like Trump, Roger Stone, and Nixon. It was like, oh, holy fucking shit. Our country is gone. White House down. Olympus has fallen. You know, freaking that's how much that meant to them. So they're willing to break any freaking, to get their country, quote unquote, back. They'll do whatever it takes. And I'll tell you what, in the future, we're going to see presidents dealing with our enemies regularly. Iran, what can you do for us? Can you hack into our opponent's emails? Hell yeah, we could do that. All right, I'll take care of you guys when I get in. North Korea, what can you do for us? Can you do X, Y, and Z? Can you shit on that other person's campaign? Yo, we'll work it out with you. Let's see here. So, again, I just want people to understand that this is old. This shit is older than us, but we got dropped into it. You know, and I guess it's, you know, if our parents and grandparents couldn't take care of it, it's up to us. I'm not shitting on those other generations. They had a lot going on. But I think
they started the fight. Like
sure.
All the generations before us started the fight, and it's for us to keep fighting. Do you know what I mean? Be militant until we get to where we need to be. Not become complacent and sit back and just be like, everything's good now. Like, there's other generations to come. We want it to be a better place,
right? And
better future for future generations.
And I wonder sometimes, are we letting them down? I mean, I let off the show, and I don't know who got to listen to it or not, but with one of my favorite Martin Luther King speeches. You know, where he basically talked about, you know, about the boycott, you know, down in, what was it, Alabama? I forget if it was Alabama. But he says, you know, and I know this is a dated term, but he's like, you know, yeah, he was like, it was the most beautiful thing I ever seen. We walked for 381 days. And so the folks down there understood we meant business. He was like, it was the most amazing thing I ever seen in my life. And he's like, us Negroes in the North, we need to do the same thing. And, you know, of course, with the church congregation, you know, that type of feel, you know, and I'm not a church person, you know, so that you know, I'm not a religion. You guys know I'm an atheist. I don't believe in none of that stuff. But the man's voice, man, it really inspires me. And what he's saying is still relevant today. You know, and that's why I played. I want to play, you know, in the weeks that follow, I'm gonna lead off every show with one of his speeches, or a few of them. Some of them are short. I have from the audio book of his basically his biography. So we get into the 80s. Ronald Reagan, everybody's favorite grandpa, everybody's favorite racist grandpa, right? Can't hate on the guy. The guy looks so slick. Look at him. He's chilling there. What's next to him? Chantal, and I don't know if you're seeing the image yet, But
I can see it.
you got a younger, dapper, looking Ronald Reagan, with his, what do they call it? Lawn jockey, right? Sitting next to him, the type that basically over exaggerates and makes black people look like they're not human, right? The big lips, the bug eyes, right?
They used to call them gollywogs as well. So that was a derogatory term.
Gollywogs?
Against black people. Gollywogs, yeah.
God, that sounds even worse.
Toy things.
Right.
Yep.
Wog
was a derogatory term as well.
Mm.
Used back in the 80s.
Okay.
In the UK, I don't know about in the UK.
Right.
Wog from gollywog. Yeah. And the black and white minstrels, it kind of looks like as well.
So we got him. What else do I got here? Now, I was going to get into how much of, I'll just end off with this, how much of a fucking liar Reagan was. I'm not going to read the whole thing here, but basically he put together a commission. This is a guy, again, another culture warrior who's willing to break the law to force his views on other parts of the world, not even the country. That's how hardcore these guys are. Not only do they want their country to be a certain way, my first president too, Mills. I guess we're in the same bracket, same age group. So yeah, not only do they want to force their views on culture on us in America, they want to do it in other countries as well. So if they gotta sell weapons to a hostile government so that they could get cash to fund a war in another place that they want to exert their power on, they'll do it. So Reagan put together this Tower Commission, handpicked. He picked who was going to be in this commission, right? I want to make sure this comes out, to make me look good, and then he gets, I actually saw the video for this. I couldn't believe it. But basically, he's like, a few months ago, and I'm paraphrasing here, a few months ago, I told you that I didn't exchange weapons for hostages, right? Because we always have this thing in the United States. We always have this thing in the United States that we don't deal with, we don't negotiate with terrorists, right? And in the 80s, we had a couple Americans that were abroad in Lebanon who were kidnapped by I think Hezbollah. I'm not 100%. Don't quote me on that. So Reagan, right, with that whole we don't negotiate. He did. He sold weapons to the Iranians, and then he got basically used the cash, to go ahead and get these prisoners freed. So he did that, and he's like, a couple months ago, I told you that I didn't do that, right? I didn't trade weapons for hostages. He was like, in my heart, I still feel that, but the facts tell me that I'm wrong, right? That's not the truth, right? This is a guy who basically said, I told you that, I still believe that, but my commission that I handpicked just told the world that I lied. Right, I mean, and that the thing, and we have to understand that, he's an actor. Reagan is a trained actor. Donald Trump, this guy spent a lot of time in front of the camera. He knows the deal. So again, but Reagan would probably do it all over again if he could save America, right, from the blacks, from the Hispanics, from the Jews, from the women's movement. He'll do it all over again. He'll blow up countless Nicaraguans, whatever, Guatemalans, who cares? Just to have his way. So this thing is real deep. So when we, and again, I want to kind of cap off with, when we hear about President, Donald Trump possibly dealing with the Russians behind our backs, we have to understand what's motivating him, right? And what motivated him was that black face, or that black man and family, rather, with Michelle Obama and the two beautiful children in that White House. That was it for him. That was it. He realized that it's gotten out of hand. This whole civil rights thing, okay, we let them go to, and this is how these racists think. We let them go to college. Damn, we didn't think they were going to wind up in the fucking White House. You know what I'm saying? So basically, they're willing to do whatever the hell it takes to freaking make sure that doesn't happen again. And Jizo pointed out last week, so Trump let the cat out of the bag. It's sad to say, but we won't because Barack Obama did so poorly in as president, there won't be a black president. So first off, that was bullshit because Barack Obama did a decent job. Did he do a great job? No, I don't think. I'm one of those guys who never puts, who never rates anything 5 stars. You know what I mean? Like, you got to blow my mind away to get me to give you 5 stars on a review or something like that. So I'm always gonna be 4 and under. In a 5-star system. I think I could give Barack about 3 stars. I think that's fair. Trump, I can't put 1 star. You know how they do the minimum. Sometimes if you're reviewing something on Amazon, you're reviewing a restaurant on Yelp or something, you can't do 0 stars, but that's how I would feel about Donald Trump at this present time. And
it's not like, sorry, I was just going to say, it's not like you say, oh yeah, you give Trump 0 stars and there's not going to be another white president, right? But then when it comes to like the black president, it's almost like, oh, we can't have another black president because of Barack Obama. And that's just a reflection on society, isn't it? It's almost like, say, for example, like you had a business or I had a business, Tom, and then it's like, say I like employed a black person and that one individual black person done a bad job. It's like me saying, I'm not going to employ another black person. It's like, no, because it was that one black person that done a bad job. That's not a reflection on all of us, but that often happens in our society, that we just judge the whole community based on like one individual, but yet that would never happen to like the white community, for example. Yeah. And it's a shame that we live in a society like that in general, Yeah, and this is again, it ties into reparations. It's about changing that mindset so we don't think like that collectively.
Right, and when it goes into like what you reparations is not going to happen until we, the people, take over, but it's got to be sustained. It has to be that what I'm basically saying, this is for life. You're in a freaking fight that's going to last your whole lifetime, your children's whole life. Basically plan on it for forever. We can't get to a point and say, and that's why I think that with the reparations movement, it winds up getting hurt, internally, because people get tired, right? Right? Why are we going to march? Why we haven't gotten anything? We haven't gotten anything, and this shit's been going on forever. So forget about it. I'm not going to waste my time. Yeah, it's a freaking battle. It's a war. You know what I mean? Made up of many different battles. You got to show up to each one. It's going to last a long damn time. When we take the White House back in 2020, all right, we had to resolve to say never again. I know that's a Jewish meme, right? That's a trope, right? Basically, when you say never again, that they're talking about the Holocaust. Okay. And of course it could be used for many different. And I'm saying never again will we allow a freaking bigot racist back in the White House. And I don't, right? And voting, it's not very difficult. It really isn't. You know what I mean? I hit the thumbs up. I vote every day. I see a video on R&R Live. Matter of fact, for our podcast listeners, make sure you're going to r.r live, so you can join us live, join us in the chat room, and just join the conversation. But, I see a video pop up, I'm voting, right? I'm not saying I'm too busy or what does it matter? No, I'm hitting that thumbs up for everybody, all the shows, everyone. That's what voting is in a nutshell. That's what real life voting is. You're going up and now, you might have to wait in a line for, a few minutes, but basically you're giving a thumbs up to that person. And then you go on about your day. It's real easy, but maybe I'm oversimplifying it. But I'm going to go ahead and wrap up. I need to throw on my Dickies, go to work because I'm a working man. You know what I mean? I'm even though, I had a suit on in that, so somebody, actually one of the guys, shout out to Couch Talk TV, but Bruce thought I was the Trump supporter because I was rocking the suit. And that wasn't the case, as we found out as the night unfolded. But yeah, at the end of the day, it is what it is. But Chantel, thanks for sticking me. I know you were tired, and you rocked with me to the end. It wouldn't have been the same just being up here by myself. Jizo had to bolt out. Jizo better be effing listening too in his car. You know what I'm saying? Just because he leaves and goes to work doesn't mean he can't take us on the road. And you guys can take
I'm
us
sure
on.
He's listening.
What's that?
He's probably listening. I'm sure he's listening.
Yeah, I hope so, man. He's probably playing Tekashi 6ix9ine or some shit. Fuck him. Anyways, thanks, D Holla. We appreciate it. Salute to everyone in the chat room. Salute to Rich. I didn't even hit Rich up today. I just went live. Shit, Rich is gonna be like, this mother. He think he got it like that, just to hit the live button and go up live like that. Nah, it's all good. We have a great working relationship. I really appreciate that. But Chantel, see you next week. I'm out. We're out.
Have a good one. See ya. Bye.